Hello, my name is Apollo and welcome to Pantheon Interviews. In today's interview, the main thing we will discuss is how to create memorable characters. Throughout this interview, we will get a deep look at how the creator of Backfire and Faded Memories develops their characters and world building. We'll be covering things like shape language, creating unique personalities, outfit design, world building 101, and so much more. All right, let's dive in. Hello, everyone. I am joined by the rising star herself, Chlolorized, the creator of Backfire. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you. I'm doing fine. And thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
Of course. It's really exciting to have you. When you first launched your comic, it just seemed to take off. It really caught my eye. And so I was like, I must become friends with this person. So I'm so glad that you took out a little bit of your time today and that we're able to talk about Backfire and Webtoons. Before we get super deep into the conversation, I'm sure we both have a lot to say. Why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, hi, everybody. My name is, I go by Chlolorized on internet, but you can call me Chloe at this point. So basically, I'm a creator on Webtoon Canvas, and I've only started doing my series for 4 months, I think it's been now. But so yeah, I guess I've always just been a creative person. I've loved everything that is art created. I started drawing at a very young age. I'm self-taught, and I just love everything about comic creating. I love creating characters. I love creating a world and just everything that relates to it. And I guess it's always been my dream to create a comic. Eventually, I came to stumble upon Webtoon and just decided to make my own story. So I guess that's about me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's really good. When I was looking at your comic, I saw that you started in August, and I know that a lot of creators kind of struggle to stand out among the crowd. And so seeing that you started in August and now it's January, you're already at like 4,000 plus subscribers. Like, that is so amazing. I'm just like, you are pretty much like the golden standard, I think, for blowing up on Webtoons at the moment for me. Oh. Just someone who I've tracked, like looking at like your numbers increase and just seeing what you're doing. I've just loved everything, like from your Draw This in Your Style challenge to like just being a supportive part of the community. You've just been so amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy.
Oh, Chlo. for those of you who don't know, that's what I call her.
Yes, I love that name.
So you did talk a little bit about how you've always been into creating your own worlds and stories. Like, was there anything that specifically influenced your writing style or the artwork that you create?
Well, I guess there are many things that inspired my comic, mostly from animes. I've been influenced a lot by Seven Deadly Sins. I know you watched it, Apollo, actually.
Wait, what? Wait.
I said we. Oh my God, French
Seven Deadly Sins, like specifically.
I love it.
Oh, I love it too.
I love it. So, oh my God. I don't know exactly what influenced me, but I always love Seven Deadly Sins and like the epicness of it. So I guess that's a bit what I brought into my comic. But I've been inspired a lot by this other anime called Soul Eater. I don't know if a lot of people watch it. It's a bit edgy, and like the characters have like weird poses, and I don't know. I love it. It's very special and unique, and I don't know. It's great.
Now that you say that, I totally can see like the influences of like the Seven Deadly Sins. There's like a specific episode where Dylas, I think I'm saying her name right, where she like
you're right.
Where she like punches that one character into the wall, and like you see that huge like power and like the destruction as they hit the arena wall. Like, now I'm just like, oh wait, that is such a Seven Deadly Sins type thing. Like,
that is such a thing Meliodas would do. Exactly. And a reader mentioned, I remember there was a reader who mentioned in my comment section that the Dylus's ability resembled a lot Meliodas one, like the Folk Hunter thing. I was like, oh my god, it's a Medicine fan. Hi. Love it.
No, that's so cool though. Like I love the idea of turning like things that specifically influenced you and including it in your comic, especially things that like those stories did right. It's like, why not use those? Like that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I love like oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything relevant.
Oh. No, I was going to say, and so if you haven't like watched Soul Eater or read the comic or anything, I think like the creator of that series does such a fantastic job of like making each of their main characters, which I'm going to say there's 6 because like, you know, person plus their weapon or whatever, but like, all of their personalities are so distinct and stand out. It's just like,
and that's why I really love Soul Eater. Like you have this dude, I forgot his name. I think it's Kid. The dude that's like obsessed with symmetry. I just love that fact. I've never seen that anywhere. I was like, this is so cool. Well, I don't want to make a character obsessed by symmetry, but it's so unique.
No, I mean you could totally do like a little nod to it, like not anything major, just like a little nod.
Yeah, no, like a dude with black hair and black stripe in it.
Yes.
No.
But no, now that you say that, like some of your characters do have very strong personalities, like right off the bat, like especially when they're introduced, basically in like 2 or 3 panels, you're like, man, this character is unique. But I guess we'll get into that more once we like talk a little bit more about Backfire. So why don't you just tell us a little bit of the basics of Backfire? Tell us about it.
All right. Okay. So basically, Backfire is the story of those powerful beings that are known as Demigens. Demigens, they are born from the union between a god and a human, and they are recognizable by what's called a crystal. So that crystal, basically, it's the Demigens godly heritage, and it's what gives them their ability and makes them powerful. And at one point in the past, humans started to despise Demigens, and one being known as Peter rose above all and proceeded turning the crystals into a lethal curse that would allow him to control Demigens. And then he confined the vast majority of Demigens in places called arenas and turned them into entertainment tools. So basically, that's the base story of Backfire. But then throughout the story, you learn that these criteria that defines Demigen are not as uniform as we thought. And along the way, you'll meet some characters, some Demigens that have very different perspective of the world they live in. So some that are very grateful that they were born in this world with a crystal and that gets to fight in the arena somehow. Some that wish they were somewhere else, but only stays in the arena because they seek the safety of it. And some that will defy all orders for the only goal of pursuing freedom. So that's basically what Backfire is about. I think that's about it. You have a lot of characters, cool settings, epic fights, and plot twists.
I'm here for the plot twist. Like everything sounds so exciting. Like I could really tell just from the you only have 8 episodes out right now, and I can just tell from the premise of the story, like it's just getting started, and like there's such a huge world that's going to be revealed through to everyone.
Honestly, I just can't wait to show you guys what's to come about the story.
But so maybe you can elaborate a little bit on your like world building process, because just from these first 8 episodes, there seems to be a lot, and I feel like we've gotten like maybe like 1% of like the overall like world building. Like, can you walk us through your process a little bit?
The world building process. All right. So basically, how I came up with Backfire was just 4 long years of planning and trying to make things fit together. So it all started with only 1 characters, which was very hard to create. And Backfire is based a lot around, it was born and developed around the characters in the story, rather than like creating a situation. I don't know if that's wait.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense though. Like you're making it, the characters came and then the plot came.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. So yeah, basically, the characters came first and then the plot came after. Somehow I just had I created all these characters and then realized later that, hey, that could be a nice thing. Why not make a plot out of it? And then Backfire was born. But so basically, the first character that came was Dylis. I started drawing her like 4 years ago. Yeah, best girl, murder queen.
Murder queen.
Yes. She got killed by the way. I'm so sad. People gang up on her. Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, basically I started drawing her for fun like 4 years ago. I kind of like was experimenting with designs and stuff. Eventually I gave her a name, and I don't know, she was just a character on the side. She was an OC, like a storyless OC. Eventually I just became like, I just like her too much. And then eventually I started drawing her in an arena setting. I don't know why. I just felt like she would look good in an arena. Don't ask why. I don't know why I did this. But I just thought she would look good in it. Like as if she was like some kind of gladiator princess. And then a year later, yeah, like I don't know.
I really like that description. Gladiator princess.
A gladiator princess. Yes. And then I think a year later, my first year in college, we had a project to do. Basically, our teacher wanted us to make a comic cover. And then I was brainstorming for idea. And then I just realized I had this storyless OC in the corner. Well, Dylis, I just realized I had her. So I was like, hey, let's make a comic cover for Dylis. That could be nice. So then I just like started creating other characters to put on the cover. That's when I created Kaizo, which was very different. That's when I created Kaizo, Kaizo and Dylis are very different from what they are now. That's when also I created another character called Namaiki, who has not made an entrance in the story later, but you will definitely hear about her soon. Do not worry. And then I started coming up with like the big lines for my comic. I told myself like, hey, that could be nice to have like this kind of concept with powerful beings held in the arena for entertainment. That could be interesting. And then I started like, the idea was here. And then eventually I just stumbled upon Webtoon in the process. I was like, hey, maybe I could make a story about that. Maybe I could like elaborate the story more. So that's how it started, I guess. The crystal cup, I think, is this first thing that first came up to me. And it first originated from Dylis' design. I always drew her with a crystal on her right chapter. Is it the right or the left one? The right, I think. Oh my god, I'm so bad with left and right.
Oh, I have to look.
I can't difference.
I can't tell you. I have to look.
I wanted to tattoo myself those left and right on my hands, where I can just
think it's
like
the left.
It's the left one on paper, but I think it's the right one on. I don't know. This is so confusing.
Oh, it's fine. It's on one of
anyway, yeah, it's on one of them. Yeah, I love that. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I always like kind of drew her with this crystal on one of her captors, and then I told myself that it could be nice if I uniformed all of my characters with that same crystal. So I started giving crystals to everybody, and then I realized that this crystal could be the thing that makes them interesting and stand out and that defines them as demigens, and that could be the thing that's holding them back in the arena, but also the thing that's giving them their powers. So that's how the crystal was born. And some of my readers are pretty perceptive already. I had a few comments in my comment section about readers pointing out that there are different crystal colors, and I don't want to tell you about all the crystal colors yet, but there's more to that, and you'll have to read to find out. I don't want to put it here.
Yeah, no, I did notice that myself too. Like, yes, okay, don't spoil anything during this. But like, no, I did notice that. What's his name with the gray skin?
Yeah, Kaizo.
Yeah, Kaizo has a different color crystal. Guy. I was just like, this is on purpose. This wasn't an accident, or by like you didn't just decide, oh, I'm gonna give him one different because he's silly. Like I was like, no,
exactly. Just to fit with his color scheme. No, there's definitely something behind this, and some people have already pointed it out. So, and yes, definitely more will develop on that in the future. But yes, there are some different colors to the crystal, and they all mean something. So yeah, stay tuned for more, I guess.
Yes. So there's actually a lot to unpack just from your world building. Like I don't know if people are really into this or not, but I love some politics in my comics and stuff, like where the figureheads are kind of like discussing things. And I know in one episode after the main character Edwin does X, I'm not going to say in case people haven't read it, but once he does this thing, the heads of the other arenas like sit around and talk, and I was just like, this is such an interesting conversation. It was so good.
Oh my God, well, thank you so much.
Of course. Like there was that. So I was just like, man, there's going to be like some political dynamic in this. And then like all of your little,
definitely.
I don't know what to call them exactly, but I'm going to refer to them as like exposition cards that you included to like explain the creator, explain the other gods, to explain. Actually, you have a exposition card that kind of explains the crystals and like the genealogy and whatnot. Like all of that was so well done that I feel like whenever other comic readers kind of like talk about their exposition or their world building, they just like throw it up in either like a bubble or a card, but like you went the extra mile to include all of this information. Was there a reason why you did that?
I guess just because I really did not want the readers to feel like they were sitting through a history lecture rather than just like enjoying my comic. I really wanted the readers to care about the lore somehow, and I think the best way to do that is to slowly give them lore information. Like in my opinion, and that's what I've learned from experience and from reading other comics, and I guess that's just what I wanted to do.
Yeah, no. Honestly, like your comic is probably like the gold standard in my opinion for like exposition, because I feel like a lot of people will front load a lot of their episodes with just like expositional or expository information, but your information is weaved throughout the entire series. We're still getting exposition in episode 8, but it doesn't really feel like it because it's so engaging. It's like this information applies directly to what's happening, and so I'm just like, yes, this is what everyone needs. So if you need to learn how to write your exposition, or if you have a lot of exposition that you need to include in your story, which for your story specifically, you have a lot going on. So I'm just like, check out Backfire, see how she does it, and then look at the visuals that Chloe uses to really explain the exposition. I think that helps too. Like having that visual diagram instead of just words, it makes it not as boring. And especially when you get to see, I think is it episode 7? Where like
I think the one where the bloodlines.
Yes, the bloodlines. Like that was actually really helpful. I was like, wait, what? Okay, I got it. And then I think in that episode 2, is that the one where they go over the different gods?
Yes, it's this one.
Like even though like the illustrations were really simple, I felt like it really gave like a nice visual aid to help with like the bloodlines and the lineage and everything. It was just done so good. I was like, yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Like I am positive, like if I had a father from this, he would be like the light bearer one. I'm just like, yep, father, take me under your wing.
That's mine. for me it's the go on one. the weird psychic one. These are my favorite.
Oh, so I like can't wait to meet those characters either. Like just seeing that, and especially since you left them so like ambiguous, I'm just like, they could be anyone. Who are you?
They could like literally be anyone.
Like I'm ready.
You never know.
Yes, I have a lot of theories, but this isn't a theory video. This is a interview. So we'll have to have you back on to like so I can theory craft with you.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Let's make some theories. I'm so up for it.
Yes. So with that in mind, just from what we've discussed so far, I think everybody can kind of tell that Backfire is a really complicated story. Was there a reason why you decided to tell such a complex story?
Oh my God. Absolutely, there was no reason. Honestly, it was never planned. I never planned to tell such a complex story, I guess. Like I said, it's just only started with one character, and the more I developed this universe and like the lore behind it and everything, it just got so complex trying to tie everything together. And eventually I came to realize how complex it was, and I was like, oh, okay, I've created like such a complex monster. What do I do with it now? it was just never planned, honestly. But I was too attached to the story at this point to let it go. So I was like, okay, well, let's make this anyway and suffer through the pain. But honestly, it's just so worth it because I love this story so much, and it just like people loves it so much as well. So I'm just so like grateful I did it, honestly. But yeah, no reason to killer.
You're just here for the pain and suffering, like that. That's why
Absolutely.
you showed
up. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. We're here.
What's funny about that is I think like a lot of people don't realize that there's so much work involved in making a webtoon or like a webcomic or even just writing a story in general, like a novel or you know, where you're not doing illustrations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize the amount of work that goes into that.
Absolutely. Like it's so hard sometimes to just come up with things and make everything make sense. You're just like racking your brains over something. And yeah, honestly, just so hard trying to connect dots, even if it's your own story. Like, yes.
Especially when you have like, you have like a cool idea. You're like, this is a banger. Like this is 100% like going to, oh man, I hit my headphones. Like I'm getting excited over here. Like, especially when you have like a story where you just know that the idea is good, but it's so complex. You're just like, how can I like reveal this to the world? So everything in your comic is pretty top tier in my opinion, like the writing, the world building, the characters, everything. So the world building, the characters, the exposition, just the whole story in general is so well put together. Is there anything you would suggest to someone who's making their comic for the first time and they have a more complex story, like how they could execute it?
Honestly, my best advice to people who want to write a complex story is to make sure everything in your story makes sense. You have to connect every dot. You have to be 100% sure that what you're going to say in your dialogue makes sense to what's going in the future. And you have to make sure that every single of your character actions make sense. Like, I know you're excited and you want to do that story and you want to publish it now, but make sure everything in your story makes sense. I say makes sense a lot. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So you just have to make sure again.
We're just rolling with it. You have to make sure of everything.
You have to make sure that this is going to be my new catchphrase. Make sure.
Yes. That should be one of like. Don't you have a meme page? That should be one of Daya's.
I have a meme page. I'm gonna put my persona, like just saying, make sure with a thumbs up and like a very sarcastic smile and dead eye. Make sure this is fine. Okay.
Yes.
So everything must make sense from the beginning to the end. You don't need to have like every dialogue plan from A to Z, but at least be certain that every big point in your story have a meaning and that eventually this will all converge together and just make sure everything makes sense.
Yes. I think a lot of people don't. You're good. So we all get, the you need a minute to translate like
exactly.
So it's all good. It's all good. No, go ahead.
Oh no, but also I had like another advice if that's still relevant.
Yeah. Keep it going.
Okay, so another advice would be if you have like this big story in your head and you're just can't wait to tell it. I would suggest you before jumping into that big story right away, maybe experiment with a short story first. Because exactly. I did that. I made a short story before. It's called Faded in Memories. But honestly, this short story made me for so much. I hate making that short story, but honestly, it was so worth it because it made me experiment a lot. I got to make the mistakes that need to be done. I got to understand how paneling works, how Webtoon format works, and honestly, this experience will help you so much before making that big story. Then again, it's just a suggestion, but it helps so much. But if you want to,
I 100% agree because even as I've done like a lot of research on Webtoon, done a lot of studying, watched a lot of like YouTube videos on like how to like make your Webtoon better and all of this stuff. And even after all of that, like knowing like being prepared, having character sheets, having my plot written out, it still has been like one of the hardest things to do, making this stupid comic. Like,
yeah.
Like,
that's so hard. Yeah.
Like you think like, oh, I'm a good artist or whatever, or I'm a decent writer. And then you go to like start paneling something, and then you look at the panels and you're like, this doesn't flow very well. Or you're like, I don't know how to draw someone jumping. Like there's so many things that happen that you're just not prepared for until you actually start making the comic, where it's just
absolutely.
And if you're doing it with your like magnum opus or whatever, like your end all be all comic, your big idea, it can be a little disheartening, I think, when you do a story like that as your first one, because there are going to be things that either you decided to lower the quality on, that you're just completely dissatisfied with because you didn't understand how to do it. And I'm not talking about like your art quality. I'm talking about like formatting and stuff. Like you just didn't understand. And so, or like even your speech bubbles.
Exactly.
I did not realize how like impactful speech bubbles were until I started placing them.
That's same.
Yeah, until I started placing them, it's like, oh wait, what?
Which one does I go? Yeah, same. Like when I did my short story, I did not like care about the shape of the what's it called again? Oh my god, speech bubble. Sorry, I had a brain bubble and I forgot how to say speech bubble. Okay,
that's my life.
But yeah, like. Exactly. When I did the short story, I did not like know which speech bubble to use, and I just went like complete chaos over text. And right now, when I'm making Backfire, I'm like, oh god, okay, so speech bubble actually have different meaning. And I'm glad I made this error in my short story, so I did not make it in my actual comic right now. So yeah, there's so much. It's like you said, it's not just the art style. There's just so much to it that needs to be learned, and that you can gain great experience from doing that story that you do not care necessarily a lot about before making your big story. Honestly, it's definitely worth to gain that experience, I think, in my opinion.
Yes, which I suggest everybody go and look at Faded in Memories, just to kind of see like I can definitely, when I look at this, I definitely see like Backfire like in the making. Like I can see a lot of like similarities in your style and just how much it's grown. But I think like when you look at this and you just read over the comic and then you compare it to Backfire, like, oh, like this artist learned so much just from making, was it 4 episodes, 5 episodes? Hold on.
It was 5 episodes, I think. Yeah, I think 5 episodes for the short story contest.
Yeah, just from doing 5 episodes, I feel like you learned a lot and you were able to apply that in Backfire. So,
no, absolutely. It's such a great experience. Like,
So please, just like, if you do have a story that you feel is going to be over like 30 episodes, just do a little 3 episode story first.
Yeah. Like, experiment, have fun with it, and just be like, okay, well, I'm going to try some things that, like, try the things that you want to try in this short story, and then to be sure that like you're ready when you're going to make that big one that really matters to you the most, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We were talking about, you know, how your characters are so memorable and how, like, we talked about your influence with Soul Eater and whatnot. Could you give some advice on why you think characters are so important to the audience? Like, why is that a big deal?
I think characters are so important to the audience, is because when the reader, in my opinion, when you're thrown into like an unfamiliar world that you don't necessarily know about yet, the first thing as a reader that you're going to try to grasp on is the character. I think as a reader, you want to relate to that character. First, you're looking for something familiar, or you're looking for something that will pique your interest. And I think that's why characters are important, because it's the thing that will attract the reader first, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe it's the world that will attract you first, but I definitely
I think for a majority of people latch on to characters first. I do know that there are some people that are like very interested in the plot. Like I love an interesting plot. And so if you do, like for me, if you introduce an interesting plot first, like that could be the thing that hooks me. I think to an extent, plot, world building is all cool and everything, but generally you're following the journey of specific character. You're not necessarily following the journey of like the tornado that destroyed the city. Like the tornado that destroyed the
tornado.
Yeah, like
the tornado was such an interesting character development. Oh my god, I can't wait for the redemption of our tornado.
I can't wait for it to come back and like put everybody else's back where they belong.
Enemies to lovers, tornado and
tornado and the cloud.
Oh no,
the forbidden.
That would be great. Sorry, my next comic, everyone.
Yes, I'm all for that. Like. I want this now, please. Tornado and the cloud.
Let's make it collab.
Yes. Okay. I'm down for that. So if y'all ever see a comic come out about like the redemption of a tornado, that was from us.
Oh God.
We need like a pen name for that.
Yeah.
So so with your characters, like I think all of them have really strong presence. Like even some of the like baby side characters that like had one episode, the what's her name? She had like the electricity power. She was in Edwin's first fight.
Oh, like, Axel.
Yes, even her personality was really strong. What goes into a character personality? Like when you're creating a character, do you like focus on one quality and then like kind of branch out from there, or how do you develop your characters?
Honestly, the way I develop them, well, first of all, I try not to stick to like one layer. So if I make like a character that is grumpy, I'm trying not to stick to the grumpy layer, for instance. I try to make sure this character has more depth. So I try to create a convincing backstory for each character that will explain their actions and their behavior. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, but like a lot of the personalities you see in Backfire are based around people that I've crossed paths with at some point in my life.
What? You've crossed paths with the Dias?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, but again, that is a bit of a self-insert because I used to resemble her a lot in the past, and honestly, like, okay, I used to be like, it's extremely insecure, and I used to create like competition with people where there wasn't, because I always compare myself to others, and creating dialists kind of helped me grow as a person, as a Webtoon creator actually. But just creating her from a place of knowledge actually like allowed me to create a character that is real to me. And I kind of hope like as the story progress, people will kind of relate to her as well. But yeah, I mostly create like some of the personalities in my comic based on people I know, because to me these personalities are real. So it kind of helps developing more depth characters. I don't know if that makes sense or it just sounds a bit weird right now. No, that makes sense. I think one of like the most underused resources when people are writing is not pulling from their real life, because there are a bunch of personalities that you know that you can insert into a character to give them depth. Like even if your character is like, let's say I'm going to go with an extreme, like a serial killer or something, like you can still give them, you know, natural quirks and personalities that a normal person would have. I don't know if you're like familiar with Hannibal Lecter or anything. Yeah, I am familiar with Hannibal Lecter, but I have not watched like Silence of the Lamb. Is it that thing? Yeah. Hannibal Lecter? Yeah, I have not watched that, but I am familiar with it. I'm kind of a chicken, so I don't want to watch it. Oh, okay. But I'm familiar with who he is. Okay, don't watch Silence of the Lambs. I would suggest watching the TV series. I heard it's pretty horrible. Yeah, no, it that is really horrible. But watch the TV series. It's just called Hannibal, and it's not as gruesome as the actual movies. Oh yeah, I've heard about Okay, but maybe I'll give it a try. Yeah, give one episode a try. But it's really interesting because of the storytelling. Okay, I'm getting off topic now. I'm like gushing about Hannibal, but it's really interesting the storytelling behind it, because like. Oh, wow. You know Hannibal's the villain, and he's in the whole series the whole time. And so it's really interesting to see his personality, because... Absolutely.
what makes it...
I find it so interesting, like villain, to see a personality of a villain. I think that's like the most...
And so what makes it so layered is he's directly working with the police in this series, but like, and so you get to see a lot of glimpses into his like normal persona, which is like he's super charming and sophisticated, and he's like very elegant. And so it's just like, man, like if this person was in my real life, I would just be charmed by them. But like behind the scenes,
exactly.
And so I'm just like, you have to pull from other places to make characters that are designed like that in order for them to be crafted so well. Like if it was just a random serial killer with no personality, that's kind of boring. Like
yeah, because you don't really understand why he's doing that, and if he just goes on a murder spree, you're just like, okay, well, why? Right.
And so
I don't know. Well, you need to have something that makes you like a bit intrigued about this character, or just like wanted to understand what he acted. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, and see, actually, we were talking before this interview, and we talked a little bit about Dialis, and we were talking about how people have different interpretations of her. Like, to me, I feel like she's just really competitive, and that like she's not necessarily like evil or anything, but like you were telling me how in the comments there's so many people that have like different reactions to her and whatnot, and I think part of that's because of how you crafted her. Like, since you base her a little bit off of yourself, like gave her certain quirks and qualities, people probably see those quirks and qualities in themselves, and they're just like, I'm not an evil person. I'm not a wicked person. And so they're like, she's not either. She's just misunderstood.
Absolutely. She's the misunderstood child that's just crying in a corner and wants cuddle and wants to snuggle with someone. Yes. But no, really, honestly, she's just, like you said, she's just really competitive. But that comes from like this feeling of survival that she developed after seeing her. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but an event happens in the very beginning of the comic that like made her who she is now. And that's why she acts like that. So I'm trying hard to make her evil right now, but I think that Evan in the prologue with her just like gave a reason for people to just be like, oh no, she's not evil. She's just, like you said, she's misunderstood.
Yeah. I feel like eventually as her personality develops, she'll be put in situations possibly where like she does a little bit of evil. And so I kind of see her being one of those like, I'm trying to think of the terms where they have like chaotic good, lawful evil, stuff like that.
Oh my God. I love this grid.
Yes, I can see her being like a lawful something, like lawful neutral or lawful evil, because like then you're kind of like, oh, well, her actions were justified, but it was kind of like too far sort of thing. So I could definitely see her developing like that. Like we're going down a rabbit hole on this character.
Then she's going to become a murder queen eventually. You never know.
Murder queen. I'm here for that. Like I will make shirts and wear them. That's like Dialis, the one true murder queen.
The one and only.
But I think that's also really interesting too for people a lot of people, there's these weird mentality about a self-insert, but literally nobody knows that a character is a self-insert unless you tell them. Like, nobody knows your personality except for your friends, which are like, and I'm going to be generous. Maybe you have like 10 really close friends who know your personality really well, like to the point where they're reading the comic and they're like, this is you. And you're like, no, it's not. And they're like, yeah, no, it is. But the rest of the world isn't going to know that Chloe. Exactly. They're not going to be like, Chloe, is that you?
Well, the funny thing is that there was this one of my friends that came up to me once and mentioned, and he went straight up to me and said, she's a self-insert, right? And I went like, yeah, okay, moving on. It was just like, that was not supposed to be noticeable, but I guess some people picked it up. But I really made it extreme. I'm not that extreme. I promise, guys, I'm really not a bad person.
No, you're actually really lovely, to be honest. Like the fact that she's a self-insert, I'm like, I don't see it. So I'm like, maybe I don't know you well enough.
Well, maybe if you have met me like 3 years ago when I was like in my thriving competitive years, then maybe that would have been different. He would have tried to bring you down or something. No, that's
no.
I would have done that.
To be honest, though, whenever I like meet anybody who's mean, like I try to be like overly kind to them so they feel bad. I'm like, oh well, I'm super nice to you though.
Why are you like this with me? I'm being nice.
It's my ultimate weapon. I'm like, you can't defeat my kindness.
Absolutely. Kill them with kindness. Absolutely. I stand for that. That's the best thing. Just make them feel bad for being bad.
Yes. And I'm like, now you want to be my friend.
No, well, I don't want to be yours anymore. You had your opportunity.
Chance. Yes, exactly.
Yes, not anymore.
Do you have any other tips for creating characters, like, or for improving a character?
Personality wise, or like design? Oh my god,
just like in general. Like, was there anything else you had that possibly could help people with designing their characters' personalities?
Yeah, I do actually. So, well, for design, one tip I would give creators, if you want to create a strong characters, a unique characters also, and that's something I always do as well. First, I try to establish my character personality before making the design, because I found out that the personality quite influenced the design of the character. Like, you're not going to have a character that's in like super bright color, and like if the characters is that like that moody teen in the corner that doesn't want to do anything. Like, I think that's quite. I mean, that could be an interesting contrast, but
yeah, that could be an interesting like.
You never know. Yeah. But in my point, I find it quite useful to like craft those personality first and then come up with the concept after, because that helped me. In my head, I kind of get an idea of what the character is going to be about first. I think also think about color palette when you want to create impactful characters. Make sure that the color palette will fit the character's personality. Make sure you choose right color scheme. If it is from like bold colors or bright colors and stuff like this. So for example, Diana is like those orange fire hair. It's like in your face because she has quite the dynamic personality. Like when you meet her, she's like, "Hey, I'm the strong character. Get out." You know, I wouldn't have like put her in some kind of cold color scheme if just that understandable characters. And also, one last tip I like to give to people, you're not obligated to do that, but when I create a character, I always try to think of something that will make this one character unique. Like, what makes this one special and this character not? So for all my important characters, I try to think of a design that will make them stand out among the rest of my second character, I guess. Secondary character, thank you. So Dylis, it's like her gold captor she has on this both side of her head, and her orange hair, like her messy hair. I think that's distinguished her a lot. Kaizo, well, he has this weird grayish skin tone, this huge stripe on his face. There's this very like not moody, edgy attitude. He's like, "Oh, I have a sad backstory, but you won't know yet," you know. And Edwin, well, Edwin isn't quite iconic yet, but just so you wait till the end. I don't want to reveal anything, but now he's just like this confused character that's trying to survive. So I haven't given him his iconic glow up now.
Ooh, I'm excited about this glow up. Like,
don't laugh. I'm laughing in the background. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to release that broadcast.
Like, as you were talking, I was just like, Edwin seems kind of plain though. Like, I'm like,
yeah, but there's a reason why he is.
Yes, now I see. I mean, I've already talked to you about my theories, so like, I'm just like, yep, I know what's up.
Yeah.
I don't
but
really.
Don't worry,
I don't really.
You never know. I don't want to say too much. Oh my god, I'm the worst spoiler. I'm a spoiling monster. I can't. Okay, but yeah, just so you wait, he will be iconic. But stay tuned, and I can promise that maybe by the end of season 1, Edwin will get his iconic glow up.
Yes.
So yeah,
I was going to say I really like how you said that you think about basically the tone of the character, like what their personality is, and you try to include it in the design. Because I found that I've been doing like a lot of design practice where I just like draw concepts. And I found that whenever I have like a specific idea in mind, like, oh, this is an evil character, or oh, this is a really happy character, like it really helps the design to come together. And then I've been doing a lot of studying on shape language and stuff. And like having a specific shape in mind has just like really helped my design process. I'm like, oh.
And this is shapes are crazy. I've learned that. I had an artistic direction class recently, and I learned about shapes and stuff, and it really helps with design actually. Like pointy shapes mean dark and danger, and like circles mean security. And I forgot the word, but yeah, it's so interesting, and it's really interesting that you go in deep to do all these studies for character design. I think this is amazing. Actually, I should do some too.
No, I would just say like you don't have to know a lot about it, but just like once you kind of try it out a few times, like you're like, oh yeah, this really helps. So like even just learning the basics of it, like, oh, like you were saying, like triangles mean this, squares mean that, circles mean that. Like you can think about the like Princess Peach, she's like a circular design, like there's so many circles in her design, and she conveys like that very sweet persona. Like it's very obvious, like this is a character that's kind, and then you have characters like Maleficent.
Bowser.
Okay.
Bowser with the tiny. That wasn't the Mario theme, like Bowser with like the thingy on his back and stuff, like danger.
Right, exactly. Like those pointy little spikes and whatnot. Like I was thinking like Maleficent, like when you look at her designs in particular, like even her movements are triangular. Like if you go back and watch Sleeping Beauty, there's a lot of like motions that she does where she's like full triangle. And I'm just like, ooh.
Well, that's so interesting. I haven't seen it this way because I've seen the movie when I was younger, but if I were to listen again, I would definitely like pay attention to those.
Yeah, no, for real. Look at some of like her motions and stuff. Like she always has like a very strong triangular shape, and it's just like it conveys really well like sinisterness for the character. Like I could only imagine
a feeling of uneasiness,
right? Like I could only imagine if she was like round or something, or a square. Like I'd be like
that would have been different. I mean, you will be like a bit confused, like, oh, who is this character? Okay. But I mean, you never know. It can always be interesting. I mean, I'm always open to many ideas. So
yeah. And like, I'm definitely not
around Maleficent made Inner Circle. That could be interesting.
Yeah, it could have been. And I'm not saying like you can't use like make an evil character that's like has a circular design. I'm just like, try it out. And like once you kind of figure it out, it's always that rule where it's like learn the basics, then break the basics type thing. It's like learn the rules, and then like now that you know the rules, like you're
challenge those rules.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So
and I love that thinking.
Yeah. And I just like, I see people all the time that, especially for your comic, like it seems like your world has a very specific uniform for the characters, yet despite all of those uniforms, they're still really interesting.
There are the same colors on every uniform.
They all manage to stand out as different. And I think that's really important, like that you were able to convey like their personalities and their differences, because there are stories like of creators doing characters that are in like a high school setting where they use uniforms and whatnot, but their personalities like is basically like a different head on the same body. But so I really like the fact that your characters convey a bunch of different emotes through their clothing style, even though it's all similar.
Yeah, well, I try to like put a little bit of attention into that a lot. I wanted to stick to the same colors because it's at first kind of very bright, and I did not want it to have too many colors going on at the same time, so I decided to stick with the same color scheme. But I kind of put a lot of attention into crafting uniforms that would like really reflect the character's personality a bit. So, well, thank you for noticing. It's really something, those tiny details I did.
Yes. I think that's really amazing too. Like you conveyed so much so well for this to be like just the beginning of the series. And I can definitely tell why the series has, basically skyrocketed. Like it's taken off really well with it only being a few months. Like, was there any reason why you think that you've received this level of success?
Well, I think, at first I don't want to sound a bit over myself, but I knew my story was good. So what confidence. I did was confidence. I'm sorry, I hate being like this, but I knew the story was good. And what I did is that I gave myself all chances I could to get Webtoon Canvas to notice me. So basically what I did is that I downloaded every social media possible. I promoted my comic everywhere. Started the promotion, I think 1 month before it came out to create like a little hype on it and stuff. Also, I did the final redraw contest I did at the release of Backfire. I think really helps me. More people participated than what I originally planned. Also gave all those little stickers I made that people to come and read it. I also participated in a collab for Halloween. I wish I could have done something for Christmas, but I was too busy with school at the time. And I participated in every Webtoon Canvas activities I could, just to try to get Webtoon to notice me. And honestly, I think it worked somehow, because I kept tagging them always on my posts. I was literally like harassing them with tags. I felt so bad. I was like, Webtoon Canvas must be so annoyed with me. But honestly, I think it works, because eventually they noticed me and they put me on the staff pick, staff pick section. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess that works. I feel a bit bad about it, but I mean,
no, I think it was worth it.
I gave myself all the chances I could. So really, I know sometimes it's a messy job to do your promotion, especially if you're alone. You don't always have the motivation to do it, but honestly, it's really worth it, and keep doing it until you get Webtoon Canvas attention. Because yeah, I've talked to some creators a while back, and they reached out to me because they didn't know how they were not getting any attention. And I said, well, are you like tagging Webtoon? Are you participating in their activities? So maybe, I know your story is good, but maybe Webtoon just hasn't noticed you yet. So just keep tagging them and like do whatever you can to get them to notice you. And I think that will help you get your story out there and eventually be successful.
Yeah, I think that's all really good. Like, you're your best advocate anyway. So like, you're the one who can like explain your story the best. You're the one who can advertise like the best images from like your story. You're the one who is going to be the one connecting to the readers and everything. So I think that's really important too. You put in a lot of work, it seems like, on socials. You said I'm gonna assume you downloaded Instagram, Twitter. Like, Twitter. What were the socials you downloaded?
Right. Oh my God. So I already had Insta for a while. I'm part of a Facebook group on Facebook, like it's called Small Webtoon Canvas Artists. But I downloaded, especially for Backfire, I've downloaded Twitter. I've downloaded, I think, TikTok. I pressed myself, I would never download TikTok because I'm such a procrastinator, and I would spend my days on TikTok. But I downloaded it for Backfire to try to make some promotional videos. And I also have Artful. Artful is not very well known. I don't know if you heard of it. Artful?
I've heard of it on YouTube. I've never checked it out. Like, I've heard some artists talk about it, but I've never looked at it.
It's really great, honestly. Well, it has a small community, so you don't have a lot of people over there, but it's still I got a few readers that came from Artful, so it's still a bit of a great promo. And honestly, I really recommend it if you it's pretty cute. Like, the layout is nice and it's a fun app to use if you're an artist. But yeah, so I've downloaded all these things to I'm still trying to get the hang of Twitter. Honestly, I'm not sure how it works, but
me and you both. So I would say everybody just needs to like put in a lot of work to like self-promote themselves. And then like that hard work will eventually pay off, especially if you have a good story or good art, or you have something good about your comic, like it will be recognized. And even if it's not by Webtoons, it'll be recognized by somebody.
Exactly.
And that could be in the form of like a patron. It could be in the form of like someone being super active on your social media. Like, all of that stuff helps, to be honest. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I was just gonna say, and I see you like putting in the work for this stuff. Like, you're always on top of everything. I'm just like, oh man, that just came out and she's already posted for the Webtoon event.
Oh God, thank you. I'm trying my best.
So with that being the case, as we've kind of discussed, like being your own like social media manager, like being your own like design creator for the comic and everything, being your own writer, that's a lot of work to go into just making a Webtoon, especially by yourself. Why did you personally decide to focus on creating a Webtoon?
Honestly, this one is a bit, I don't know, I guess it just, well, I've always been a huge fan of Webtoon for 4 years now. I was a reader before becoming a creator. I've downloaded because of the Lore Olympus ad. I think everybody got that one.
Mine wasn't an ordinary ad, but okay.
Oh my God, I've never gotten the ordinary ad. I've gotten, I think, the Let's Play ad and the I Love You fan ad, and anyway, no Olympus, but ordinary never. But yeah, so I've been a huge fan of Webtoon for 4 years, and I was a reader. I've read a lot of comics, and my dream since I was little has always been to make a comic. And for me, I think Webtoon was just the most accessible platform to get my work out there. Yeah, because otherwise for me it was like get my comic to an editor and publish it on paper. And I don't know. It's just I love the fact that Webtoon has this self-publishing platform for all artists to show their works actually. So I guess that's really, I was not thinking about like the Webtoon format by then. I was not thinking about like how hard it was going to be to one. I was just like, to me it was the most accessible thing. And honestly, I'm just glad I got it out there. It's a really great platform actually, and I really love it. But yeah, it's just happened like this.
Yeah, no, like I don't think, your reasoning has to be complicated. Sometimes it's just like, I wanted to do this.
It happened.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Like you were just like, yep, I'm gonna do it. And I think I'm kind of in a similar boat too. Like I never thought of myself ever becoming like a comic artist or anything. Like I was always like, I have my novel and I have my illustrations, and like great. It never dawned on me to be like, why don't we combine the two and make a comic?
Yeah, the best combo.
Right. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. So there's a lot of different things that go on in Webtoons like that people have issues with. And one of the biggest issues I see people talk about is the rate system. And so I kind of been asking a few other creators this. And so in other interviews, we talk about the rate system too, just because I think like it's good to get a more successful creator or someone who's been doing Webtoons for a while, their thoughts on the rate system. And so I want to, before we talk about the rate system entirely, like as a whole, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your comic?
Okay. Without taking the Webtoon rating system in mind, because like most comics on Webtoon are average 9. If it was really like if you could see comics from 1 to 10 on the Webtoon platform, I think my comic I am confident, but I my story is not perfect, but I do know it's a great story, so I think I would give myself a 9 out of 10. I think I've really planned it out all, so it's not perfect, I admit it 100%, but I'm confident it's a great story, so I think I would rate myself a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
that wasn't Webtoon rating system, because Webtoon rating system is a bit different. But yeah.
It is, and that's kind of the thing that I want to like address with these like talking about the rate system. Like it's not a normal rate system, and like you can think about rate systems like Goodreads and stuff. Like that's more of like a critical rate system, I think. And Webtoon's rate system is more like a popularity rate system. Like people read one episode and then they downvote, and so I think like people equate like the downvotes to how good their story is, when that's not necessarily the case. I think the rate system on Webtoons, like the one that they've crafted, is just kind of like, did you like this or dislike it, and then they downvote. Like it doesn't, because it doesn't have any critical bearing on the story, because like if it was a more critical rate system, and I'm just going to keep using Goodreads as the like example, people would be able to leave like explanations and reasoning why they downvoted.
Honestly, I would love that. I would love some reasoning on the rating system. But yeah, honestly, in my opinion, I'm sorry, Webtoon, for saying this. No offense, but I really don't like the rating system. I know it's for a good intention, but I just I don't like it, because I don't think it really reflects the score some stories should have. Considering for all the stories I've read, the average score is like a 9.6 for like most of the stories I read, and some incredible stories I've read of 9 and unders, and most of the creators told me that it was because of rate bombs. And that happens quite a lot. I've been victim of a lot of rate bombs when I got featured, and I'm really grateful for being featured, but like I got like in a matter of seconds. I know these people didn't even read my comic. They just like downloaded it because my rating went from like a 9.7 to like a 9.3 in a matter of seconds. Honestly, it was just hurtful at this point. I know some people leave a bad rating because maybe they did not like it, and that's okay. But if they're just going to rate bomb it, then like not even give it a chance, I think that's just hurtful and unfair to. And I'm not the only one. A lot of creators have gone through this, and I think honestly it's very unfair. And I think, like you said, we should have like a system where people that are leaving bad reviews or good reviews should like leave a comment as to why they did this, or at least you could like unlock the rating after reading 3 episodes. So then your opinion is not like just rate bombing a series because you're just seeing it here or because you don't like the looks of it, or I don't know. And it's been going on like recently. Yeah, I think it's a recent thing. I've only noticed like people complaining about this for like a year or so. I don't know if it's a matter that was already here before. But it does bring creators down. As long as I don't want to look at my ratings, it did bring me down a lot. But luckily, like I have some amazing fan that helped keep my moral up and helped me get my rating back up after that. But yeah, it's still a bit it brings the motivation down for the creator, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah,
too.
if it was an honest system, I would be down for it. Like with comments and constructive criticism, I have no problem with that. But just straight up rate bombs and this person not even reading my thing, I'm just like, okay, no tolerance.
Right. Yeah. I think I agree with what you were saying. It would be nice for the rate system to be unlocked for creators, especially since that's something that the creators do struggle with. But I also kind of am on the side of like, does it even matter what the score is, sort of thing?
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
there's also this thing too. Yeah.
So I'm like, if the score doesn't matter, could we just get rid of it, sort of thing? Since creators don't like it, like especially like I think the originals, since like they're getting paid and whatnot, they could definitely keep the rate systems, and generally their ratings are relatively high too. Yeah, from what I've observed,
they generally have good ratings. I don't know a lot of comics that have under 9. I think on the originals. I don't think I've seen any actually. Yeah, they always have pretty high ratings on the original, so I think they should keep that up, like you said. Since getting paid for it.
So like something should change for the rate system, but I just I'm hoping that more creators will realize that the rate system isn't necessarily a reflection of their work, and it's a lot of times I think, like you said, it could be rate bombs, it could be that they just didn't like your art, or it could just be something frivolous, like they read the story and it wasn't for them, so they downvoted type thing.
But that's I'm up for those kind of thing. If you read my story, you didn't like, then I'm okay with being like downvoted. I mean, I guess that's if that's genuine, then I guess that's really what my story should get as a rating. But yeah, it's just like you said, the rate bomb, people did not like the art. I think that's unfair. But if that's a genuine, I didn't like your story, then I think that's okay.
So like the reason too I bring up like art is there are a bunch of series that are really good, and I'm not talking about Webtoons. I'm specifically referring to like 2 anime. So there's Mob Psycho, and then there was One Punch Man, where like both of those stories when they first started out did not have good art. Like if you look at the original concepts of them, like the art was so, but because of the story, like people loved it, and it eventually grew in popularity and everything. So like sometimes the art, even if the art's not that good, like it could still be a successful story. And I think like
absolutely
with the rate system, sometimes if their art's not that good, they feel like, oh, people aren't liking this because of the art. And so it's like really complicated. It's so like a little more transparency and like a little more positivity for the creators who are putting out their works on the platform for free for people to just like abuse.
Exactly. And just like you said, the word like for free, you're literally like giving your soul away to create some free content, and people just abuse of that. I think that's sad.
So I just want to put out like some positivity for the rate system and just like let creators know that it's not reflective of your work. Often sometimes it's just like people being, for some odd reason they just downvoted, like they don't even know why they downvoted, so it's not a reflection on your work. So while we're on the topic, are there any other improvements that you think that Webtoons could implement, like from a either reader or from a creator standpoint? Like anything you would like to see?
Oh, from Webtoon. Well, for Webtoon, honestly, I think I've seen this quite a lot. There's some people that have trouble. It's hard. If you're not getting like Webtoon Canvas attention and they don't promote you on the front page or stuff, it's hard to get to 100 subscribers. And from what I've seen, it's hard to, you cannot, I've not seen any comic yet in the Canvas page that has been promoted in the inventory with the vertical thumbnail and stuff. I think it's only like 1Ks and up comics that get there. And honestly, I would like maybe for Webtoon to have more sections to promote it in Jen's comic, because I think that's important and that would allow some really good stories to be discovered. Because I got lucky, but there's some amazing story out there, and I wish Webtoon could have like these extra section for those for those comics to be discovered. If not for that, I think coming back to the rating system, I would love to see, I don't know how doable that is, but I would love to see a way to leave a critique if you're to leave a bad rating. I think that would be positive for everybody, and that would actually justify some actions that are made and help creators feel better about their work, instead of just like leaving a bad review and not explaining why I'm leaving. That actually just makes us feel awful. So that would be nice too. Maybe some other ways for creators to earn money through Webtoon Canvas. I'm mostly doing my comic for the love of doing it, but I know some creators they're kind of doing their comic and eventually to get there to the ad revenue things, but it's kind of hard to get their comic to for 40K plus view monthly if you're not promoted enough on the Webtoon page. So maybe some other ways to support smaller creators, that could be great as well. But honestly, these are just like recommendations, so I don't know how these are doable.
Right.
But really,
right.
I don't mind about that. Yeah, but I think it's hard. It's a bit hard to reach those standards. If you're a small comic, it's a bit hard to reach those standards for the ad revenue thing. Yeah, It's a bit of my opinion. I think that would be it.
Okay. I mean, that's what I was asking for, your opinion on it. So so that's cool. I like to hear what creators think about what improvements can be made for Webtoons. So that was pretty interesting. And I think it's good to be on the pulse of, improvement in general. So I think all of those are relatively doable. Like, I don't know from a company standpoint, but from like a consumer standpoint, it's like, yeah, those would be nice.
Yeah, well, because you never know what's going on in the company. It's like sometimes there are things you can't just do. So I don't really know how to do, but I mean, it would be nice to see maybe a bit more of those. I don't know.
Yeah. No, as somebody who's ran their own business before, there are so many things that happen behind the scenes that customers will never know, that you're just like, that took, like, I had to give my firstborn and secondborn in order to have those plastic sleeves for you, sir.
Oh my God.
Like, please be grateful. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot to get them.
Oh God.
So what about, is there any general improvement that you would like to have, like just in general?
In general, okay. Well, it's a bit comic related, but it's also a bit for me as well. But I need to like improve my time management because it's so bad. And honestly, as much as I love my comic to death, I'm just a huge ADHD, and I'm a master procrastinator. Sometimes it's just, even if I love doing what I love, sometimes I just sit down on my tablet and start drawing, and then I get distracted by something. And honestly, I just wish I could improve that aspect of me, like just being more productive and have a better schedule so that I can get those episodes in time and not always struggle at the last minute to get them finished. I think that would be a nice improvement I'd like to do for my comic. Yeah. I think and
I think that's so nice to hear, like, even people who are working in this process, like you even have struggles too. Like, I think that really humanizes the process, that you're always be working at improving your comic process. So no matter where you're at, like, you're constantly trying to improve. And I hear you on the time. Yeah. I hear you on the time management. Like, I am always struggling so much. I'm like, I have that so hard sometimes.
Yeah. Just even if you love doing what you love, it's just sometimes so hard when you're in your bed and you're just like, I need to get up to walk to my tablet and start drawing.
Right.
It's sometimes just a bit hard, but yeah, we still love it.
Yes, exactly. So I know you mentioned that you're kind of just doing the comic because you love it, but would you like to be a featured Webtoon artist?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I kind of would like to be featured with this, I mean, that would be amazing. And it's a nice dream. I mean, I love Backfire, and if I could do Backfire and actually getting paid for it, well, that would be actually like a dream job for me. And I would really whoops, sorry. I would really love to, but at the same time, I don't really want to hold on to that dream too tight and put too much hope on it. Because I don't think it's a healthy goal for a Webtoon Canvas artist, considering that there's only a few of us that get chosen to become original. I prefer to have like more LT aspiration for my comic. So honestly, as long as I get to work on this comic and do what I love, it just makes me so happy. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything about it. For now, I just want to focus on continuing making that comic and giving you like the best version of Backfire I can. But I cannot deny that it would still be amazing to be a Webtoon Canvas creator for, no, not a Webtoon Canvas, a Webtoon original creator. Sorry. But yeah.
Yes, I love that though. I like the idea of keeping it in its relative place, because there are more Webtoon creators popping up every day.
Exactly.
And I'm sure there are some that are probably going to pop up that are like God tier artists or something. Webtoons is just like, yeah, we can't ignore them. We have to give them a content.
Oh, no, absolutely. You always have those that pop out and they have like amazing art, amazing story, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You can call it in the beginning. So that's why I don't want to put intention. Like I don't want to kill myself with that, because I'm this kind of person that compares myself a lot to others. I used to do that a lot, and I don't want to compare myself to those big comics. So I try to focus on my personal growth, and what I can control right now is to give you like the best comic I can. And well, eventually, if I can become an original creator along the way, well, that would be awesome. But I try not to put too much hope on it. But it's still nice to dream.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like it's nice to have it as a little maybe on the side, but it's not like your main focus. So I think that's really healthy. Absolutely. And I think for anybody who's just starting out, like don't expect to become a Webtoon original creator. Like even if your story's good, even if you have amazing art, like focus on just like crafting the story to be the best it can be. And then if it happens, it happens.
If it happens, but just focus on controlling. Whoa, I can't say that. Sorry. Oh my god, I keep speaking French. I'm sorry about that. Put that in the edit, please. Oh god. But yeah, I think the only thing you can do is trying to control what you can. So just make something you love and you're proud of. And I think if it happens, like you said, it will happen eventually. And well, that's a cool thing. But just have healthy goals.
Yes. So thank you so much, Chloe, for joining me today. I really appreciate all of your words of wisdom, and I'm sure everybody's going to really enjoy like your thought process and how you've gotten to where you are. I think it'll be really helpful to the community. So thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun, and thank you everybody for listening to us, I guess.
Yes. So we will catch you all in the next video. But of course, be sure to check out Chloe on all of her social media, and be sure to catch up on Backfire on Webtoon Canvas. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
A huge thank you to everyone who made it to the end of this video. We know that our interviews can be a little bit long, so if you would, please leave us a like, a comment, and most definitely ring the bell. A huge thank you and shout out to our patrons. If you'd like to support us while getting some extra content we don't post on Instagram or YouTube, then head on over and check out our Patreon. Be sure to follow us on all our social media, link in the description. We are particularly active on Instagram, so if you want to chat with us, then feel free to pop on by. All right, we'll catch you in the next video.